So what I want to talk about is very important concept in chess and very important element of chess, you can say, and basically Zugzwang, right? So this is how the game is basically decided. When any move your opponent makes, makes his position more difficult, then he is in Zugzwang. You can define it like that. When any move that he makes and any move that he cannot save himself. So there's no going back to even maintain the position, right? So this is just a simple position. This is not the position. Yeah, we can start with this and move up, I think. Okay, so this is basically a position where white is unable to place black in Zugzwang, right? Yeah, so basically white is unable to place black in Zugzwang. So even though he has a material advantage of an extra pawn, he's unable to pose Zugzwang, right? So if you play king d6, black plays king d8, and if play c7, you play king c8 and king c6 is just a draw. So whether you can win or lose depends mainly on whether you can place your opponent on Zugzwang actually. So it's such an important element, and I'll take you through different levels of it. So it is not like at the top there is a different strategy or bottom there's a different strategy. It's just a most basic thing in chess can be developed exponentially. You can keep going up. I'm not sure if I would say that white is in Zugzwang, but that's a curious question if white is in Zugzwang here. But yeah, I wouldn't say that. I'm not sure if that is technically correct, but it's an interesting way to look at it. So let's look at another portion. We have just the same portion, right? But we have added elements to it. And so just the pawns to it, right? So already we have shifted a level up. We have leveled up, and now white is able to win this portion actually. Can you guys figure out how white can win here? It's a curious portion and a pretty famous theoretical portion actually. So yeah, triangulation is the right way to win here. I mean, nothing, still very theoretical, and you can find this in any theory book, right? So let's look at the same concept. King d6, if we play, we're not going to win this, right? Nothing has changed here. These a pawns are not affecting this. So the only new plan is to go after this a pawn. But king c5, he plays king c7. And we are still not able to get to the a pawn, which is the only new factor in this position. So white can either play king d4 or king c4. In the game he played king d4. And so this is triangulation. So basically we are trying to put him in Zugzwang. That's what I mean. Every concept and every theoretical portion, theoretical endgame is based on this concept, based on the concept that you want to put your opponent in Zugzwang. And so identifying that or understanding that is pretty important. King d4. So if he goes king c7, we win with king c5, and this is the position we are fundamentally aiming for. And he plays king d8, distant opposition, and we play king c4, right? So we come back to the same position with black to move. So basically triangulation, as it is well known, and most of the viewers here can identify that, I think. So this small triangle that white just made, right, is called triangulation. But what is the aim of triangulation, right? The aim of triangulation is to put the black pieces in Zugzwang. So this is just a simple portion. So king d5, I mean king c7, king c5, and king d8, king d6, and also king b8, king d6. All of these moves are basically losing for black. So that is what I mean. What do I mean by Zugzwang? A position where whatever move you make, it worsens your situation. That's basically Zugzwang. So that's a simple way to put it. Yeah. So any move that black makes here worsens this position. Oops. So king c7, king c5, and we just win this pawn, right? So that ends the concept. We are 2 pawns up, and yeah. So another very interesting portion, and white is very curious portion. Tell me what you, I mean. Let's just look at the portion, observe the portion, and see what is going on in the portion. Every portion has a story to it, and basically every portion has a story to it, and we are trying to understand the story, right? So understanding the portion means understand story. Yeah. So here black king is attacking the knight, and white is a 1 pawn up. Black has a pawn here, right? What do you guys think should white play here? And it's pretty simple if we try to understand the portion actually. So basically we need both pawns to win the game, and knight and pawn versus bishop is probably going to be a draw. And yeah, very interesting. So let's understand. So you have to understand what is this a threat first, right? If it is black to move, is this a threat? Because it's right now, if you calculate that, you can see that it is not a threat. If black king takes the knight, you start moving your pawn, and black cannot catch it. And yeah, winning. And so what is this threat right now? Is he going to push this? I don't think so, right? So one has to think what is this threat actually. But let's see what we can do also. If we can play a6, right? We also have to think about what we can do. a6 is interesting, and after king b6 we are left with just this pawn, and he's not going to take the knight, but he's going to go after her pawn. Yeah, this is kind of a famous portion also. It's a Troitsky study, and it's also in the book Domination in Game. So it's a different unique way. So we have to put black in Zugzwang actually, and find out any move, make it any move that, you know, whatever move makes it should be losing from. So if we move the knight, then again he has a lot of moves. Bishop f4 probably would be most logical, and then next move we'll go after our pawn, and I don't think we're going to be able to queen this pawn. So knight moves are out. The next candidate move would be just taking this pawn. But what is wrong with this, guys? And what is wrong with king into h2? That's what we have to consider. I mean, king into h2 is a very logical move, but yeah, it has a very logical refutation to it also. And let's see. Bishop f4 check, yeah. Bishop f4 check, king g2, and now king into d4. And after a6, black is in time to save this, right? So that's the reason we are king into h2. So a lot of people have found the answer already, and the answer is actually king h1. So basically the only decent move that black has is probably h1, and see, any move like f3 also gives up a square, right? F3 plays, black has this, black gets access to this square, and our ideas don't just work, right? So we cannot put him in Zugzwang if he plays f3. So the only move that puts him in Zugzwang is king h1, and the bishop is unable to move anywhere else, right? So bishop g7, bishop f8 loses to knight e6 check, and bishop g5, bishop f4, bishop d2, bishop c1 loses to, yeah, bishop g5, bishop f4 also loses knight e6 check, and bishop d2, bishop c1 loses to knight b3 check. And Okay, let's. And the f2 square is protected by this. E3 square is protected by this pawn. Very important. So that's very important that you play only king h1, not f3 or anything. And so king h1 wins, right? So a lot of you are able to get this answer, but let's see. Let's consider this portion, guys. And yeah, again, the aim is just to place the opponent in Zugzwang. And how can we do that here? That's the key thing we have to understand. The previous portion was actually a study by Troitsky, I think, but it's a very famous study from Kasparian's book Domination in 2545 studies, I think. Yeah, it's a unique portion. It's basically a study, and there are many portions in that book, Domination, and it's a very good book, I think. So let's consider this portion. Again, it is a very important element in endgame. Once we have a very big advantage, once we have a very big advantage, it's easy to you have to have a sense to find that Zugzwang, right? So you have to sense whether my advantage is very big, whether my advantage is big enough to put my opponent in Zugzwang. Yeah, so I'll try to come in the evening, guys, but this is just a side thing I'm doing, so right now I can't be sure. So let's see. So a lot of moves. Tell me what is a Zugzwang portion, guys. That would be more interesting to understand rather than the move. The move is not at all important here. There are many ways to arrive at this answer. But what is a Zugzwang portion? What is the final portion you're imagining in your head? Usually that's what people do. You have a lot of control in this portion. You can do whatever you want because your advantage is very big. So what we need is not just a move, but a variation and a final portion where you can head to. So a lot of moves are bishop suggested here. I don't understand them, but bishop h7, I would just play knight d8. Bishop h7, I would play knight d8. And bishop b7 also, knight d8. I don't know what you want with this, but interesting. Bishop on d5. You want the bishop on d5. That's a good first step to the solution. And let's say you play bishop d5 now. I play knight d8. And then still I'm not in Zugzwang because it's still your move. If you move here, I move here. And if you move here, I move here. Right? So we are not at Zugzwang yet. Bishop d5 does not get us to Zugzwang. But your imagination is very good that your bishop belongs on d5. Yeah. So somebody, Arnav has said the correct answer. Bishop f3 is the right move. So knight d8, bishop d5. Your bishop has to be on d5 when the black knight is on d8. This is exactly the position we are aiming for. And it's pretty interesting, right? So also losing a tempo. Triangulation is not just, very well said. Triangulation is not just limited to king and pawn rings. Triangulation is very important. So, but the problem is not over yet. So black can play knight f7 here, right? So knight f7 and basically threatening, saying that you cannot take my knight. So what are you going to do, right? So we have to continue with this, and he doesn't have a lot of options here. He can only do this at the moment, right? So we have a huge advantage. So we can still again imagine the position that we want. And just the bishop is so strong here. That's the value of a central square, it controls so many places. And yeah, he plays knight d8. On knight f7, we play king e6. This is our aim. This is the Zugzwang position that white is aiming for actually. So basically we need control of this square. Yeah. So king g7, white plays king e7. Very good question. Bishop can be on any square. It doesn't matter. You can play, your first move can be anything. But when the knight is on d8, you should just play bishop d5. So put it anywhere here, doesn't matter, but in the end you should come here when the knight is on d8. Bishop g2, knight d8, bishop d5 is all the same. There's no difference. So bishop f3, knight d8, bishop d5, knight f7. I've created some kind of pattern here. King e6, knight d8, king d6, king e7. And we need to get to this guy, yeah? That's what we want. And that's beautiful actually. So we win. So some struggle here, but most of you have managed to solve it. I'm impressed by that. This is one of my favorite positions actually. And yeah, black plays h5 in this position. It is black to move and he plays h5 actually. So tell me guys, what do you think about this position? And what do you want to do here as white? And yeah, it's all fascinating. You can take any small idea, think about it exponentially, and make it into a very strong idea. I mean, very high level idea. But what you usually do is, we're looking for very complex ideas, but what you can do is actually look for a very basic idea and develop it into a, if you go deeply into it, deeply into a basic idea, then you can make that idea into a very tremendously strong idea. So a lot of moves here actually. Again, the moves are not interesting to me. Tell me the Zugzwang portion and tell me if the advantage is big enough to Zugzwang. Give me the answer actually. What is your plan or whatever? So a lot of discussion inside the chat itself. Happy to see that. So just give me a couple of moves. I mean, at least tell me what you want to do here. Something like that, right? So we don't really want to just stick with something. We want to move on. I mean, we just want to say this move and guess like that, but we want to make sure you get the concept, right? So a lot of moves here, h3, h4. So what's h3, right? Let's consider that. Let me ask you guys something, right? So let me ask you guys something. Is this position good enough to place black in Zugzwang? Give me an yes or no. That is interesting. That would be just an interesting for me. Is this position good enough to place black in Zugzwang? And yeah. Yeah, tell me guys, is this position good enough to place black in Zugzwang? I'm just waiting for your answer here. I just want an yes or no right now. And I'm hoping for some answers on that. So some no, yes, some yeses. So somebody has a very nice, Ayush has a very nice imagination. He wants to put the bishop on g7. That's good imagination, Ayush. I don't know how you're going to make that work. If you come up with it, you have to make it work, right? So Siddhant is adamant on no, but a lot of people are saying, I'm hearing a lot of people say yes. Black to play, then black is lost. Okay, that's interesting. Black's bishop is useless here. So how do you put him in Zugzwang? That's what I'm trying to say. So some h4 moves are there, but I don't like h4. I don't like h4 because of bishop c7. And I'm getting some counterplay. I'm not saying I'm equalized. I'm not saying I'm holding this game. None of that. I'm not tricking you like that. But I have counterplay here. Even g4 doesn't work because I can just come here and I'm stopping this pawn and I have some counterplay. You're making a completely controlled position into a mess. So if you're not able to evaluate, then you have to come up. Basically, you don't understand what's going on. Basically, you don't know what is a good position and what is a bad position. So probably you'll have to think about that and work on that. So basically, let's see, right? So some suggestions with h3 also interesting, but not the critical way to play. Bishop c7, g4, hg4, hg4. I'm thinking that Sanjay has already seen this position, so I'm not sure I'm going to give any points for him for that, finding the right way. But again, nothing has changed actually. You have not improved your position, or you have not made your position, you have not made your opponent's position worse. So it's still a position. I mean, nothing has changed. You have not worsened your position, but you've also not improved your position. So, not sure, right? Not sure how many points I can give for H3. So is somebody's so the main trump card is not the H pawn. I mean, you are spotting it wrong actually. You're spotting that. I don't think the H pawn is our main trump in this position. And one thing I want to say is understanding something means not explaining it. If you explain something, it does not mean you understand something. If you can, understanding something means spotting it immediately. If you spot something immediately, then you understand it very well. If you spot something slowly, then you have some understanding of it, but you need to work on it. But if you spot something immediately, yeah, you have completely understood it. But if you don't spot something, then you don't understand it at all. That's how I would define understanding, right? So I don't want to post any theories here, but that's a reasonable way to define it. So please don't give me one moves, guys. I want more than one move, and I'm hoping for more than one move. So king d4. I don't understand the plan of this move. What do we need, right? What do we need? I don't understand the plan of this move, but yeah, it's a decent move. I mean, again, as I said, as h3 or h4, king d4 also does not change the assessment. The game goes on, right? So nothing new happens, but nothing terrible also happens. So we can, when people ask us what is Zugzwang, we can explain it to them. We can define Zugzwang, and so many definitions I already gave also. But can you spot it on the board? That's what matters for a chess player, at least. This chess theoreticians can worry about other things, but players, I think, should worry about whether they can spot something. Whatever you see is truth, and So bishop f8 is the move that is suggested, right? So first of all, I mean, the only main way to spot Zugzwang is like using prophylaxis. That is the easiest way to spot Zugzwang. And if you ask yourself, what is black's move in this position, right? What is black's move in this position? And does he have a decent move? I don't think so, actually. Because, what can black play here? I would say that white has an advantage, Keshav, for you to understand that all his pieces are in dark squares, and that is generally not good in an endgame. And our bishop is more active than, our pieces are generally more active than, our king is rank higher, right? See, our king is at the 4th rank, and his king is only at the 3rd rank. So some advantages you can say, these are positional advantages that you can say to say that you have an advantage, right? So what is prophylaxis? Prophylaxis is just asking, if it was my opponent's move, what will he do, right? That's just prophylaxis, nothing too complicated. I mean, you can go deeper with it. I mean, it's just, everything is just a basic idea, but going deeper with it makes it a strong idea. So bishop c7, guys. So let's say, what is the most logical move? I mean, if he moves the king back, I'm just going to give a new variation here, and this is not what he wants, right? Then go back, and then I'm going to win all these pawns. So only reasonable move is bishop c7. But what happens after bishop c7? Bishop c7, there's a forced way for white to win material here. And that is with bishop e7, bishop e5, and bishop d8. We are winning this pawn actually by force. And also the b4 pawn eventually, right? So both we are winning. So basically, we are winning material. Basically, if he plays bishop c7, he cannot play any other king move. So actually by using prophylaxis we can find out that black is actually in Zugzwang here. So the position we are actually aiming for is this position. The position right here on the board, that is what we are aiming for. So beautifully white played in the game, bishop f8. And so e5 doesn't change the assessment of the... I'll just play bishop c5. And we play bishop c7, I'll win this pawn. So e5 is just putting a pawn on a dark square, one more pawn on a dark square. So basically what you're doing is worsening your position. That's what I mean. I'm not saying you're losing immediately, but every move that you make worsens your position. That is Zugzwang. So bishop f8, black is in Zugzwang, and e5 is a move that worsens his position. So yeah, so he's in Zugzwang. We can determine that he is in Zugzwang. Bishop f8, e5, I just go bishop c5. And any bishop move, I'm just going bishop e7 and yeah. So the game was beautiful, bishop f8. So we've determined that bishop moves are losing to bishop e7. So king b6, he goes king b6. What do we do now? King b6. And white plays the beautiful bishop d6. Well done. King c6, bishop c5. So this is the position we started with. And yeah, so basically we return back to this position. So you can see that all the positions I've shown so far is of the same concept. But still there is some struggle to find the right way, right? There is some thought there, so there is some confusion there. There is not a lot of accuracy there. So you can think about that and determine whether how well you have understood the concept. So basically here anything loses. h4 I would just take this. And then I'm just queening this pawn actually. I will just put the bishop here and start queening this pawn. So guys, it's the same position. And yeah, losing. So black actually resigned in the game here. But basically for this reason, you know, he's just winning too much material. And yeah, there's no way back from this. That is why I put the point of no return. There's no way back to save yourself from this portion. I hope your doubts are cleared. Yeah. So let's look at a more complex portion, right? Let's look at a more complex portion. So who can tell me what's going on here, right? And yeah, let's see. Who can tell me what's going on here? And it's an interesting way again. So slightly more complex than the ones we have seen so far. And white has to... So tell me, before we put him in Zugzwang, what do we want and what is the position we are aiming for? And yeah, let's see. It is white to move, guys. It's white to move. And basically this has kind of been going on for a while in the game. And this is just analysis from a game. And pretty interesting portion, in my opinion. So how does white win here, right? It's not so easy as it seems, but that is a good way to win here. So some interesting answers like I can sack the exchange. I don't see any good way to do it. Actually, even if you put the rook on f5, it's not like I have to take it, right? I don't have to take it if you put the rook on f5. So you can never force me to take your exchange. So that's something to think about, right? So a lot of moves. I just want you guys to tell me what position you're aiming for and what is the white's goal. I don't want moves right now. We have to Zugzwang the bishop. That's an interesting viewpoint and probably right. And what is the aim of this Zugzwang? So a lot of moves actually, but tell me what you want, guys. What do you want from these moves? That is the only interesting thing actually. We can always guess the move and get to the. But when we are playing a game, we are not really guessing, right? We are looking for certainty and stuff like that. So how do we, can we put the bishop in Zugzwang here? That's the question. How do we put the bishop in Zugzwang? If we can do that, let's see. And what do we plan to get from it, right? That's also important. What do we plan to get from that Zugzwang? That's kind of very important actually. We cannot sack an exchange and win. As I've explained already, that doesn't work. So you have to come up with something better than that. So a lot of ideas. So king d4 is a recommended move. I don't know why. What does he want? Bishop b1 or even bishop e2, right? Bishop e2, I'm winning your pawn, yeah? That must be painful. Bishop e2, I'm winning your pawn. I think I should play bishop e2 actually. Bishop e2 and then I think I'm winning. I mean, I'm making a draw. So rook and bishop is a simple draw. Yeah. So some people are getting closer to the answer. King d4 doesn't work. Rook c3, I'll play bishop b1. What do you want to do? You have to be more, you have to convince me with something better than that. So, yeah. Rook c3. Rook c1, king can move, and then rook c5. I don't understand this. But how does that help you win? I don't understand. I don't know. Rook b7, I don't know. I'll just move, yeah. Rook d7, I'll move here. Rook b7 also, I'll move here. What is your problem? What is my problem? So a lot of suggestions here. But rook b7, rook d7, I don't think it cuts. Rook c7, I'll just go king g7, yeah. As long as I'm in this diagonal, I'm a happy man. Rook c1, I'm going king g7. And I still don't see anything happening for white, right? So rook d1, bishop, rook d7, rook c1, king g7. I mean, you can say rook c1 is a move, but king g7, you have to tell me what is a move. And otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Rook d7, bishop e2. Yeah, maybe I'll not go bishop e2 for rook d7. I'll just stay here, right? So, because I'm not winning your pawn right now with bishop e2. So, king d4 was giving me the pawn. So, I went bishop e2. But rook d7, I'll just go here only. I'll just go bishop c2. So, king d6 is a move I'm hearing, but I'm just I don't know what is your plan actually. I don't know. Yeah, even if you push the, let's see, where do you want to push the king, right? Where do you want to push the king? The king, you cannot push it beyond g7. Basically, you cannot push it beyond g7, right? King d6, bishop b1. I don't know how you're going to push it, but anything, I'm just going to g7. And basically, I need to control these squares, just these squares, because especially f6, because that's the only way the king can attack this pawn. And also f5 is controlled by bishop. So it's not so easy to achieve this. So a lot of ideas, but nowhere close to the answer. So you can see that there is something you can do to get better, right? So whatever you don't solve is a way for you to get better. So that's what I want to repeatedly say. Whatever is not easy for you will help you get better. I don't know what arc is lines is, but it doesn't work. So I mean, you have not made any progress, I think. I'll just keep moving. I'll just keep moving. Right, so hopefully I will make a draw here. Maybe bishop b1 is not the wisest move. Maybe I'll go here and keep an eye on this pawn maybe most of the time. So yeah, so a lot of you are struggling with this position actually, but it's a fascinating position. And it's, you can see that how difficult it is to come to find your way in such things. And so rook d7, bishop c2, I don't know, bishop b1, these are just a lot of variations. I don't see how it is getting you anything. How are you changing the nature of the position? How are you changing, how are you putting him in Zugzwang? That is what I would like to say. So even if we understand Zugzwang, right, we should see it everywhere. Then only we truly understand it. And yeah, we have grasped it very deeply, you can say. And that's important, guys. Give me one moment, guys. Yeah, so a lot of moves in the chat. Again, like rook c1, I don't know what the idea is actually. Rook c3, bishop b1, rook c1, king d4, yeah. Maybe I go king f6 or something. Maybe I go this, yeah. And then it's not so clear. It's not so clear to me at all. Yeah. So it's interesting here. Rook c. I mean, you have to find a specific Zugzwang position. It's not so clear to me, but yeah, most of you are close. But if you're not precise, that's what end games requires a lot of precision more than middle game. I think the level of precision required is increasing as the game goes on. Opening, you can make some mistakes and end up slightly worse only. Middle game also some mistakes and slightly worse, but in the end game a mistake could easily change the assessment of the position. It can change a win to a draw to a loss, right? So kind of more expensive. So that is an interesting way to imagine the position. I appreciate that actually. Taking the king to f8, right? So that's beautiful, at least optically. And so what happens there? I don't see how you're winning that. So king e6. Let me just play this actually, but okay, doesn't matter. Okay, king e7, I'll play king g7. I don't know what you guys are playing, right? King g6, king f8. I'll play bishop f3 actually. And still no way to win here actually. So rook c4. I'll just wait probably, and yeah, or I can go king f6, right? I can go king f6 and just, it looks, yeah, this is the problem actually. I mean, even something like this could end up a draw. I'm not sure if this is a draw or not, but this might not be a draw. Yeah, this is not a draw, but yeah, we have to be careful on that. So this could be a defensive idea basically, but I don't think it works here. But I would just wait, right? So some way to wait. I can find some way to wait, I'm sure. And yeah. rook b7 is not correct. That is what I've been trying to tell you. You have to see the Zugzwang portion. This is no, I don't see the Zugzwang in your variation. Rook b, I don't know, bishop d3, king d4, yeah? That's interesting at least. I don't know, where are you going? Rook b4 idea, king e3, yeah? I don't see how that can help you actually. You're going in the wrong direction. So finally a difficult portion to make you guys think. And yeah. So maybe let's look at the portion we want to. So what is the main goal here? That's what we need to find out in order to find the Zugzwang. Right, that's our main goal. And let's see, I don't know, right? So can anybody tell me what is the main goal here? We have talked about it a lot. We have discussed it a lot. Rook c3, king g7, rook d6, bishop c2. No, that is not the answer. So there is if you want the Discord link, it should be in the description also. I'm hoping that is working. So if it is not working, then I'll post it later, guys. No issues. I think the g5 pawn is the main goal. Very good. G5, winning this pawn is the main goal, fundamental goal. So what is stopping us? Let's break this down actually. What is stopping us from winning this pawn? So our main goal is to win this pawn. So what is stopping us from winning this pawn? Yeah, that's beautiful. So king f6 we need, or king f5. So king f5 is much easier to achieve, right? So, and that's what we want actually. So rook c6 check is the move. King g7, rook c3. So like I said, the bishop has to be left to this diagonal. And let's see, bishop, otherwise he's going to lose, yeah? So bishop g6 and bishop h7 don't make a lot of sense here, because basically, yeah, rook c7 check, king g6, king h6, I'll play king f6, and king g6, I'll just wait one more move so that he has to move the bishop, and then I go here, yeah? So this is not his aim. So rook c6, king g7, rook c3, we're going to go rook b1. So again, rook c1 actually. So he has to stay in this diagonal. Again, like I mentioned already, quite a few times now. He plays bishop d3. And now king d4. This is the Zugzwang portion. You should have seen. No, this is not the Zugzwang portion, right? King d4, bishop e2, yes. So I'm doing something wrong. Let's see. So maybe not an easy portion for me also. What is wrong here? Rook c1. What is wrong with king d4? Bishop e2. There should be a way to stop this actually. Yeah, that's it actually. Rook c3, bishop b1. Give me a moment to think, guys. Rook c1, bishop d3, and now rook d1. So this is exactly the point. So bishop e2 is losing to check, and king f5. And yeah, so bishop d3 is losing. So bishop d3 has to play, and I play rook d1. So he has to stay in this diagonal, right? So bishop c2, rook d2, bishop b1, rook b2, bishop d3, king d4. I think somebody came to this portion actually. Somebody came to this portion with a different move order probably. Maybe with rook b7, rook b2, but yeah. But this is so bishop d3, king d4. We are achieving this without allowing this, I think. But I see some problems here also actually. Bishop a6, what do we do? And I'm not sure. Maybe rook c2 now. Yeah. And then we go here, right? So I don't think he can stop this. No. I'll solve it with you guys. I'm not sure what is the answer. So let's see. King d4, bishop e2. King d4 should work somewhere, right? So that's what we are actually. Rook c1, bishop d3. Rook d1, bishop c2. Rook d2 works, should be correct. Bishop b1. Rook b2 should be correct. Bishop d3. And now king d4 should be right. Because I'm stopping this, bishop a6. I'm concerned about bishop c8 actually. So I shouldn't allow that basically, right? So not so clear to me also. So these are complicated portions, but that's what I mean when you can get better at it. What do I see? But this is the way. I'm sure that somewhere here I'm getting a Zugzwang. Why wasn't this portion winning? I don't know. Why is this portion not winning? He just goes here. Huh? Yeah. No, first move is rook c check, I think. First move is check. And king g7. Rook c3. Bishop b1. Sorry, bishop b1 is a move. Rook c1, bishop d3. And yeah, somebody gave me the answer actually. So let's say bishop d3, should I play rook c7 check and then come back? It's the same portion, right? I'm not changing anything. My rook has to be on the c file. It cannot be on the c file. But how am I stopping bishop? Yeah. Finally, I've found the answer to stop. Yeah, somebody helped me actually. So thanks to them. So the king has to be on g6. Yeah. So rook c6 is not actually. To stop this, black king has to be on g6. That's beautiful actually. So maybe my first move itself is rook c3 then. There's no rook c7 check. Rook c7. There's no rook c6 check. So let's go rook c3. He has to keep the bishop in the diagonal. Rook c1. Bishop d3. Rook d1. Bishop c2. Rook d2. Bishop b1. Rook b2. Bishop d3. King d4. So now I am stopping both bishop a6 and bishop e2. This is exactly what I want. Bishop f1, I'm going to go check, and now king e4. Okay, if you said it same, you're right. If you have to, I mean, this is a self way to learn. I mean, I can't check everything, but yeah, I guess now we got it right, guys. So it's not easy to understand this because of all the elements that you have to grasp, right? It was not only important to stop bishop e2, but apparently it was important to stop bishop a6, right? I will just explain the answer one more time. First start with rook c3, bishop b1, rook c1, bishop d3, rook d1. Yeah, bishop e2 is just check and king f5. So bishop c2 is rook d2, bishop b1, rook b2, bishop d, and now king d4. This is the position that you have to aim for, and yeah, it's winning basically. So basically our king comes to f5. King has to come to f5 and we collect this pawn and we are winners, right? So fascinating position, guys. It's, I mean, such positions are not easy for me also, but I'm just explaining the concept and its importance. And yeah, we should probably just not stick to what we know, right? We have to keep looking. So what I want to say is that the concept, that the first 2-3 portions were easy and the last 2-3 portions are not so easy, but the concept is the same. So bishop f1 also, rook b6 check, king g7, king e4. So basically you can take any small concept and make it into a very complicated, not a complicated, I don't want to say complicated, but very deep one. You can make any concept into a deep concept by simply looking at it. So let's consider this actually. So what's going on in this portion? Right? So what do you guys think? What is going on in this portion? Rook is missing because he has sacrificed it. In exchange for the black rook is inactive, no? Hello Aniruddha, welcome. The black rook is inactive, right? So he has sacrificed it. He has aimed for this portion. He has sacrificed it. He has a better portion now. And my question to, I mean, this is not exactly the typical Zugzwang that you see in books, but, or as we understand it, but to me, this is like a mini Zugzwang. Yeah, it is not only, I mean, I don't know if I can determine this. To me, it's a Zugzwang, guys. I don't know what is the official theory and technical term for such a portion. But I would, I mean, to me, this is interesting. Am I not audible, guys? Please let me know. Yeah, I'm audible, I think. Zugzwang can happen in middle games in certain situations. I mean, Zugzwang, I don't want you to understand Zugzwang as a, I want you to understand Zugzwang as a concept. And also, it's a concept. It's a concept where, you make a move, you realize, it's a concept where you realize that your advantage is big enough that whatever move your opponent makes is going to worsen his portion, right? That's what I want you to say. So such positions can occur in middle games also. And that's what I want to say, right? So somebody is suggesting bishop a4 here. And tell me, guys, what do you think here? White is better or black is better? That's what I want. The white is better or black is better? That is what I want you to understand. So bishop a4, I would just take this. Queen b8, actually there is no tactic actually. But even if I allow this, I'm okay here because of queen a8 one. But I have bishop d8 and I'm probably a rook up, yeah. So Narayanan says queen a3. This is more complex portion, not at all simple portion, but I just want to leave this here, when somebody sees. So queen a3 is a very normal move and most people are going to look at this. Yeah, so queen a3 it's a kind of a complex situation, guys. So queen a3, black plays a concrete move, queen b7. And queen b7, what will white play, right? So queen b7, it looks like black is under trouble, but if you calculate deeply, then you will see that he's not under trouble. Yeah, queen c7 is a move that is being suggested. I don't know why. I mean, by the way, black can still castle. So if you play queen c7, I'm just going to castle happily. Then my rook is going to be a very happy piece. So queen a3 is a very decent move, I think. I mean, most people would play that, and at certain level, it's a very good move and logical way to think. That's a nice way to think. Your thinking is doing well, but queen b7, and after bishop a4 check, which is kind of tempting, king d8, queen d6 check, king c. I mean, it looks odd for you guys, but there is no mate. There is no mate actually. So what can I say, right? That's chess. Yeah, so we don't really want him to castle, and king c8, bishop c6. So let's continue the line. I'll just take this actually, and there's no way to mate, and the knight is missing from the action. My rook is coming in the next move, and I have some play. I'm not losing yet. Probably this will end in a draw, and I'm very happy with the draw as black in this position. Yeah, that's a very good way to think, Alvin, sorry. The white knight is better than the black rook. That's a very nice way to think. That's beautiful actually. I have another way to think about this also. You know what I think? The pieces that is developed has a more value than the pieces that is not developed. The only I have a theory that only after piece develops, piece is well developed, it acquires its original value. Let's say rook is 0 till it is useless, right? So till after it comes into play, it develops 5 points or whatever. You can also judge a piece by its mobility. How many squares can this piece go to? That's a good way to judge a piece. And this can go only to 3 squares, which is very bad for a rook. Which is pretty bad for a rook, guys. Let me tell you that. Yeah, Shreya, it always is true. Assessment of a position changes with a mistake. You have seen my videos. Thank you. And if you have to assess this position correctly. I mean, if you make a mistake as white here, it can get back to equal. So queen a3 is a mistake actually, but not such a bad mistake. But it changes assessment of the position, that it becomes equal after this. After queen b7, bishop a4, this is an equal position. So queen a3 should be considered a mistake, because in the initial position, white is better, and after queen a3, it is equal. So it's a mistake. Yeah, piece value is only by quality. Quantity is for absolute beginners. Obviously, you have to say something when somebody starts playing chess. You can't talk to them about quality, but eventually we learn that it's about quality. Knight to d2, a suggestion, very interesting. And bishop g5 is black's move actually. I'm improving my position slightly. I mean, knight d2 is a very logical way to think, also a good way to think, but due to specific things, it doesn't work. I mean, I am getting some counterplay because of this, yeah. So next I'll take and play queen d7 or whatever. So this knight is definitely better than this bishop. So any move that worsens the position. So Mikhail Tal is very much related to quality of pieces. There's no doubt about that. And I'm a big fan. I've studied his games. So yeah. let's see who can find the move here, right? So what else do we understand about this portion? So maybe most of you might not get it, but it's still a good way to good thing. I mean, if it makes you think, I'll be very happy. If it challenges your own ideas that you already have, and okay, maybe something I'm not getting here and I have to look into it, I think that's a good way to learn, and maybe you can do that, right? So queen d5, that's interesting, but I wouldn't be too happy as white to do that. Again, not a mistake, I think, but it's not like black is without counterplay there. Black has his own counterplay, and I don't think white is increasing his advantage with this move. So look, all of your moves are, even though we saw so many positions where we pass the move to the opponent, all of your moves are force moves. So queen a3, you want to do something. Queen d5, you want to do something. Knight d2, you want to do something. Zugzwang is nothing but passing the move to the opponent, and you can only sense that when you have a sense that your advantage has become big enough. And yeah, here white's advantage is big enough actually, and black does not have many useful moves. He doesn't have any useful moves. So this bishop is stuck to this pawn, and a lot of things are problematic for black. Problematic. So g4 is an interesting move, but bishop e7, I'll play queen e5. I guess queen e5, knight e5, bishop d6, and I will collect this pawn. And maybe I have enough counterplay, right? So king e2 is an interesting move, but you know, you have to make a move that does not worsen your own position also. King e2, I'll take this pawn. Your bishop is pinned, buddy. b4, I don't understand that, but b4, I just play cb3, I think. I don't know if you're winning there. h4, I would play bishop very close. You guys are very close. I mean, it's so beautiful that you guys are able to do this. Bishop e7, queen e5, and I'm winning this pawn, and it's not like I'm completely lost, right? So I have got something for that. So let's say king f1. That's all good moves actually. So black's idea is, let's try to understand black's. He wants to play h5, h4, rook h6. So let's do something about that, right? White plays g3 actually in this game. So this is Navara Caruana, and you can look it up later. I mean, you can search this portion and find out. So h3, all similar ideas. Well done, but g3, h5, h4. So you can ask me, did h5 worsen his position? No, but again, every move still worsens his position. Let's say, I mean, now you can ask me, wait a second, I can develop my rook. This is not worsening my position, but this worsens his position by a big deal actually. Find out what it is actually. Who can tell me what is wrong with rook h6? Fascinating portion. So rook h6, there is a specific problem, and it does worsen black's position. It's not easy to see immediately how it worsens black's position. It works, but it does worsen his position. g4, as I explained already, g4, black plays bishop e7, queen e5, knight e5, bishop d6, and the h2 pawn is hanging. So I mean, if you play f4, you don't really want to play f4 also. So knight c4, bishop h2. So I'm getting one pawn back. And if he plays g3, bishop e7, you're not getting that. I win this pawn also. So that's exactly my point. So g3, h5, h4, rook h6, what's wrong, guys? Beautiful. Neve, that is the answer. Queen a3 is the move. Now there's a difference. If he goes queen b7, then we play bishop a4 check, king d8. Now the rook is not protecting the f8 square. How beautiful is that? Queen f8 check, king c7, queen f7 check, king b6. Maybe even take this. I wouldn't take it, but maybe we can take it. This also, we have 3 pawns for the exchange and 2 connected pass pawns. We can start with h4, but it's not the most precise. I mean, I was looking for the most precise answer. You have 2 connected pass pawns, but why would you want to gift your pawn to your opponent? There's no need to do that. Yeah. So whether this is Zugzwang or not is debatable. To me, Zugzwang is nothing but you reach a point in a game where whatever you do, whatever your opponent does, it's going to end badly for him. He doesn't have any good choices. To me, that is the definition of Zugzwang. And so you can see that. You can see that in this portion. So I would consider this portion to be Zugzwang. I've made a video actually already on Zugzwang. You guys can check it out later. Okay. I've included another middle game in that same video, and it's interesting. I've included some things that I've not spoken about here. Please check out that if you wish to. And yeah, that's all I have to say about Zugzwang today, I think. And yeah, so you reach a point, you keep increasing advantage, and you reach a point where whatever your opponent does, it is only going to worsen things for him. It's going only in your direction, and that is Zugzwang. This is kind of a micro Zugzwang. To me, chess is itself a mini Zugzwang, but that's a complicated topic. I don't want to talk about it now. Yeah, so watch the Zugzwang video on my channel, and I've set some key points that I've not talked about here. But yeah, I'm going to make a lot of short streams like this just to explain a concept. Once a week I'll make a chill stream or something, I don't know. But mostly I'm going to keep my streams instructive or something like this. I'll try to be here as much as possible, but yeah, my schedule doesn't allow it. And this is only something, this is not my main job or something, but I'm just doing this for fun and to share some concepts. And yeah. Yeah, that's about it, guys. I have nothing more useful to say. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Good way to not become a mod is asking me to make you a mod. There are already too many mods, I think. I don't know why you need to be a mod. I'll give you we'll do it after a few streams. Yeah, I want to do small quality streams just to educate the concepts that I enjoy in chess and find it fascinating. You guys can learn. I don't want to say learn, but because learning is a difficult thing, maybe you guys can think about it and think about everything I say. Yeah, so that such things I'll do it in different streams and be more specific with your questions, and I can help you better. So I'll make what's a mod now? Let me see. I don't know if he's here. So guys, we can become mods. Becoming mods are not so important in chess. Chess is important in chess. So let's focus. Maybe Rajat, I'm not always winning against everybody. No, we are done for the day actually. So I just wanted to keep it a short, instructive stream because it takes me a lot of time to prepare these portions actually. So learning is a personal thing because I'll just stay for 5 more minutes, guys. I mean, you guys are asking, yeah, chess is greater than mod, chess is greater than me. Forget about me. Yeah, don't talk about, you don't need to worry about me also. Whatever you do, just focus on chess. Yeah. So you suppose books are very good, fascinating. And I would recommend them. Yusupo, I like Yusupo in general as a player also. I mean, anybody who's a top player, you can always listen to them, I think. Why do you say learning is a difficult thing? Learning is a difficult thing because it is a personal thing. It is not, there are 100 people, let's say, and each person learns in their own way. Not 100 people can learn in the same way. So that is why I mean learning is a difficult thing. And so you have to figure out your own way how you're going to learn. And whatever I show is not enough to make you a better player. You have to think. Yeah, I have some ideas about that, Siddharth, because I want to do something interesting with that classics thing, and I'll do that definitely. And right now I want to post some videos also for you guys to check out. Everything takes me a lot of time to prepare, and I want to do something useful only. Maybe I'll do some random chats or playing some games once in a while, but yeah, I'm not good at entertainment. I want to be just whatever is interesting for me and whatever will be useful for you, I'll just share it with you guys and it'll be good. So Silman's endgame book is very good. I think any endgame book is good. Endgames are very important part of chess actually. I don't know if you can learn from this, but if you think about this, maybe you'll learn. Otherwise, you are usually just consuming information. Ragvesh, these are very random questions. I don't know. 1400, I don't know what is that level actually. But I know some strong 1400s who can beat 1800s. Yeah, so Sanjay is still focused on the position. I like that, Sanjay. G3, Queen D7. Yeah, Queen B8 I'll play. And Bishop D8, probably knight E. This is hanging, right? Queen D8, then Queen B5. So like I said, I'm not saying that you're winning in this position. See, that's not what I'm saying. Okay, I'm just saying that whatever move you make, it's going to worsen your position. I'm not saying you're winning in this position. That is Zugzwang, according to me. And yeah, that's the concept I want you to understand. It's not about winning or losing. I mean, I think I've never read them, Siddharth, but I like Yusupo, so I'm assuming it should be good. It was not there when I was growing up, so I never read them. But I've heard a lot of good things about them. So yeah. Yeah, this is something I've given to grandmasters also. So it's not, that is why I'm posting it here so that you can see. See, that's why people understand, that's why you have to learn the, better portion. That is why you have to learn the basics very well. So because it's a basics that's evolving into a very heavy concept. This is a portion I've shown to grandmasters and some of them didn't get it. So not such a simple portion. But there's nothing called simple. It's just a way to think. I mean, there's nothing called. Yeah, I'll do that once sometime. But I have to go now, guys. And thank you for joining. I'm planning to post videos also, so have a look at them. I think there will be more instructive. Okay, Narayan, that's a very interesting idea. Doing homework, but yeah, I would need some time to plan out these things. I can only right at the moment I'm allowed only to dedicate so much time to YouTube. And more time to working on chess and teaching and stuff like that. Yeah. Bye guys. I really enjoyed this actually. Had fun. Hope you guys did too. Tada for now. I'll do a chill chat and we can talk about any random thing on some random day, but not now. Thank you guys.